A huge welcome to Gamma Studios. Whether you're watching with us live or whether you're watching later, and maybe you're doing your email, so we'll be working really hard to try and grab your attention and make sure the cast of celebrities that we have on the sofa with us today will be making sure that you're completely glued to what we're talking about. Thank you for joining us. And as you can see, we're trying to communicate slightly differently this year. We want to make sure we're doing an open, honest communication about what's going on in the market and how we can get our messages across to you. Think less corporate broadcast and perhaps more Graham Norton and I was going to say Richard and Judy, which probably dates me somewhat, but I think Phil and somebody else, Holly, might be nearer the time. We've got a couple of names that are at the top of the screen that you should see. Those names are Amy and Liz, and they're going to be making sure that today runs really smoothly. But let me be clear, if it doesn't, it is 100% my fault. There's one very important message that you'll hear throughout today, and that message is thank you. Thank you for the trust you place in us. Thank you for the business you place with us. And thank you for sparing the time to join us today to hear about our views on 2026 and how we can make it a huge success. This event is very much about making sure that we are as fit as possible for the year ahead. And as you can see, kind of with that fitness theme, I'm very much the before picture rather than the after picture in the fitness transformation. The 2026 theme is about momentum. It's about making sure that the commitments that we made in 2025, the foundations we laid in 2025, are all about delivery and making sure we can all gain the momentum we want and need in the market in 26. The market hasn't been easy. It's been chaotic at times. It's been uncomfortable at many points. But actually, there's been huge opportunity. And we're going to be talking about some of those highlights that we've seen in the market today and some of the trends we saw during 25 and what we see and expect in 26. When I speak to partners, they're not looking for more promises in the conversations. What they're looking for is absolute clarity and absolute delivery. And we'll be making sure that we do that. And that's very much the focus for today. We'll also be focusing on speed. And we'll be making sure that the momentum is there to ensure that you have the right propositions, the right products, and the right support to take advantage of those opportunities that we'll be talking about. So today really is about three things. Where is the market really heading? What can Gamma deliver in 2026 to make sure that you can make the absolute most of those opportunities and make the most of that market momentum? And then lastly, how can we help you win more, win faster, create less friction in your business so you can absolutely win as profitably as possible? It really is about the one partnership and the endless possibilities that we can create. So I'm now going to flip over to our celebrities, over to the sofa, and maybe you could introduce yourselves.
Hi, Will. Thanks for having me. So I'm Andrew, and I'm the Group CEO for Gamma.
Brilliant. Hey, Will, I'm Colin. I'm Gamma's Chief Technology Officer.
Hi, great to be here. So I'm John Murphy. I'm the CEO of Gamma Business.
Having worked with these guys for quite a while now, I know that they're going to be constantly interrupting each other, talking over each other, and chipping in, and probably me as well. So I'll try and keep some structure to the conversation, and that's a big part of my role here today. But maybe we start a bit of that structure by Andrew, if I could ask you a question, really. It's a lot of pressure on you on this question, actually, because I've talked about the chaos. I've talked about the kind of uncomfortable market conditions.
Yeah.
I'm looking to you to bring some sanity, some clarity to all of that, and talk a little bit about, what you think our partners should be thinking about in 26. What do you see going on? How do you interpret all of that chaos?
Well, I think on this sofa, you've probably got something like 60 plus years experience in this industry. And I think we would all say 2025 was probably one of the toughest, most chaotic years we've seen. And we probably all agree on why that was. The macroeconomy's not been great, little bit of political instability in the UK certainly, and probably more globally. And also you've got some quite unique things going on in our industry at the moment. You've obviously got the PSTN switch off coming down the track. You've got AI coming in and making that choice of cloud platform for both end users and partners maybe a little bit more complicated than it's been historically. And how do you cut through all that? I think one of the things that we've done, and one of the things I see partners doing, is partnering with people that you trust. And that's always been really, really important in this industry. But I think it's particularly important now because you and we need to be partnering with people who, first and foremost, they're still going to be there in the future because the economy is quite choppy. And also they're going to be bringing all of those innovations to you so that whoever you're partnering with, that you're going to get access to the best solutions and the best service wrap.
Absolutely, and I think some of those proof points around trust, obviously we can talk about the FTSE listing and all of that sort of good stuff, but I think there were a couple of awards in the last couple of months even that really demonstrate that trust.
We've been really, really fortunate. So we've had Newsweek magazine have given us an award for being one of the most trustworthy companies. I think we came 6th globally, which is extraordinary. And Time magazine gave us an award for being one of the most sustainable companies in the world again. And I'm so delighted that Gamma's won, both of them, both for trust and sustainability. It's astonishing and a great testament to us, our people, and also our partners who help us achieve that.
Picking up on your point around trust with partners, I totally agree. I think in particularly last year and this year, the feedback I've had from partners is that it really is that the relationships that have been curated over a long period of time that have started to really help partners, help those conversations in what is quite an uncertain environment. And I think it really does start to come to the fore. It's the things that necessarily aren't all about the products and the things that you're selling in market, but it's about how you're selling those things. And certainly some of the things that we've been doing with a survey that we send out every year to our partners, but also we've been doing something called our Partner Experience Program this year, and we've been getting that through a lot, is that there's a lot of trust in our account management team, and there's a lot of trust in our service. And actually, I think that sort of trust enables the right conversation to be had between our partners and Gamma, because we're basically having a conversation which is, how do we start to break down some of these challenges for you? How do we start to think about growth in the market rather than just a conversation around which products can we sell you?
That's why I think 26 is such an exciting year, because we've got that foundation of all of the trust, the account management, and so many conversations I have with partners are about, how can I spend more money with you? I really enjoy working with Gamma. And Colin, I know you're going to come up with a lot of solutions to how partners can spend more money with us.
Exactly. I mean, it's about having the products as well, isn't it, Will? And that's something that I think we've really made progress on in the last 12 months. And I'm excited about this year too. You
were saying, looking back at the 25, it feels to me very much like a transition. Yeah. There's been a huge amount of change in our product portfolio, bringing new products in, the huge amount of work that's gone in from Gamma Labs. Maybe you could talk a little bit about Cisco, the relationship we have with them, but also Webex and Horizon more broadly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as I said a moment ago, trust cuts both ways. I mean, we have that relationship with our partners, but also we have, part of my job is going out working with our suppliers and getting those kind of relationships with them. And I think in the same way that, our partners hopefully feel they can pick up the phone, they can talk to me, they can talk to John, they can talk to Colin, and they do. We have that sort of relationship with somebody like Cisco. And that's enabled us to have conversations with the really senior team, effectively the Cisco Exco, who are bringing collaboration. So, they've been selling Webex to large enterprises for a number of years very successfully. And what the conversation between Cisco and Gamma is how do they then take what is a fantastic product down through the channel into smaller businesses? And that's what we can help them with. And that's what we've been able to do. So we kind of help them make it more consumable, we plug it into the Gamma network, and it's working really well.
Yeah, and I think also the point, I think what we've now started to develop with Cisco by adding Webex in the portfolio is we've now got Horizon and Webex really coming tightly together in the market. So we've got the strength and the investment profile of Cisco starting to feed both of those platforms, and what we've been working on through the help of Colin and the team in Gamma is actually putting that Webex layer over the top. So we've got effectively now 2 platforms and one application in there. And I think we're seeing partners out in the market start to really tighten that positioning. Partners like Flowtech, for instance, almost positioning these things as different SKUs, because Horizon is a much more sort of transactional a price-based platform, whereas the Webex for Gamma as a born in the cloud AI, highly secure sort of product is starting to resonate well with different sorts of use cases in the market. So I think bringing those two things together under one Cisco kind of UCaaS proposition for Gamma is really starting to resonate with the channel.
I think one of the things that I like is that we've got options. We've got Phone Line Plus, which is great for small businesses, and then we've talked about Horizon and Webex. What I really like about Horizon is that it's our platform. So last year we built the capability to be able to add a new device to that platform in 48 hours. We brought on 20 new devices. So if you've got an existing base out there, we can add those devices and bring those customers onto Horizon, create a path forward to Webex. I was with a customer the other day, Will, and I showed them the Webex app. And I said, what do you think of the Webex app? And they said, that's amazing, but what about Horizon? And I said, actually that is Horizon. Because once you put that Webex app on, it's super hard to tell the difference.
It is, but you also, what you're doing, or what Colin's been doing in terms of the onboarding, how quickly you've made that for device onboarding, it's allowing our partners to look at the kind of the platforms out there, the island platforms out there, if you want, that are no longer keeping up with the pace of development, or they're maybe not as secure or compliant, or they're maybe not as reliable, and has made it super easy to be able to bring those customers and that platform into the Horizon platform, relatively quickly. And then you've got the evolution of that roadmap through Webex and Cisco, and you've got so much longevity in that.
And that's a roadmap that we can and we do influence as well. So as Cisco are building things that sit in the Webex for Gamma product, because of the relationship we have with them, a number of those can then be added into Horizon. So the Horizon roadmap continues to develop and continues to move forward with many of those same features. And that's because of our ability to work with Cisco to do that.
I think that's such a clear message now. We've got both products under that. It's lead with Webex.
Yeah.
And then whether you want to fulfill that through that transactional platform, as John said, because you're trying to achieve a certain price point, or you're looking for some the efficiencies that Horizon can bring in that way, or whether you want to deliver a full customer transformation. Just lead with Webex, because that's where huge amounts of the value is.
Yeah, and I think what sits behind that as well is because sometimes it's easy to lose sight of actually what sits behind the platform. It's one account team, it's one support team. The way that we manage that product behind the scenes is very much in that way. So we're able to kind of support different sorts of use cases for the channel. We're able to support any sort of upgrades that are happening between those platforms as well, really easily in Gamma.
I think that's really coming to the fore in the conversations I'm having in the market at the moment around sort of hidden value, and that actually if you use that kind of analogy of an iceberg, so many people would talk to you about all the stuff that sits above the waterline, the AI and the CX and all of these flashing lights and bells and whistles. The amount of value that sits below the waterline in Gamma around resilience, around reliability, around governance, around compliance and trust as well, picking up the points from earlier. I think that's more important in today's market than it's ever been, because other people out there are struggling maintaining that huge amount of investment that sits below the waterline.
I think that's right. I mean, anybody can go out there and go, look, we've got the most amazing product portfolio. I mean, that's relatively straight. I'm still very proud of some of the deals we've struck with suppliers to get the size of product portfolio. But you're right, that's the bit that sits above the waterline. What sits below it is how consumable is it? How secure is it? How resilient is it? How well is what does that service wrap look like? And the stuff that Colin and John are doing, delivering that resilience and delivering that service wrap, that's what differentiates Gamma. So it's not just that kind of list of here's some things that you can sell, although I think we've got a very impressive list of things that our partners can sell, and that will be more impressive, by the way, going forward than it is today. But we make it consumable, and we put a really, really good quality of service around that. And I have to thank these guys for doing it.
Well, I think also I mentioned our partner experience program earlier on. One of the other themes that we're seeing coming through that is partners in a maturing market. They are looking for more differentiation. They're looking to see how they can, demonstrate and stand out amongst the crowd, really. And a lot of the bigger kind of UCaaS and cloud products out there are becoming similar in terms of capability. I think we've got, I would say it, but I think we've got some of the best in our portfolio. But at the same time, they're trying to stand out. And certainly some of that feedback we're seeing is they are falling back or even moving forward to actually strong service, strong differentiation in that respect as well, because that can add the slight difference there. And also looking at how they're targeting certain verticals, integrations becoming quite key in that as well. And I know Colin could probably talk all day about everything we're doing with regards to how we're integrating our portfolio in and make it much more accessible to certain vertical markets. So those are the sorts of themes I think that are coming up for the channel, and I think it really does sort of resonate with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking to partners all the time now. But yeah, there's a partner I've been working with recently, and they have a very, very clear focus on the legal sector. Yeah. And they absolutely understand the language, the terminology, the needs, the security, the compliance, all of these different areas. They're putting together multiple products, and at the heart of that sits Webex, because there really is no better product in the market from a governance and security and compliance point of view. So I think we're seeing much more of that, and that's where integration really comes to the fore.
That's right. Well, and some of the things that we're building, our new partnership with Red Cactus, for example, we'll be adding things into our portfolio that gives our partners the building block to create those verticals, so that we can help them in that move, as you say, John, to move more into verticals, whether that's taking the core Webex licenses. The Cisco device set is really beautiful, the things that they're providing. And then if we can add into that some software packages that are specific to verticals, I think that creates a new opportunity.
I think that kind of, Lego way of thinking, let your imagination run wild by using the different building blocks and the integrations and all of the capabilities is really, really strong.
And if we can offer that through a single portal ordering experience backed up with a single sales and service team, that really starts to be a differentiator for working with Gamma, because we can bring all of that together in one place.
I'm conscious that we'll have lots of salespeople listening today, and they're thinking, I've just been given my target for the year. Got a huge number to hit, and there's lots of pressure on me. What are Gamma going to do to make sure that all of those sales people out there can hit their number and take home those embarrassingly large commission checks that we all love writing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a former CFO, I love writing commission checks to sales people. I genuinely, because if
there's no better check to write.
If we're writing big commission checks, it means that we've hit our revenue and GP targets and hopefully exceeded them. We talked about the chaos earlier on of what's going on in the market at the moment. And there's probably 2 or 3 things that people need to be focusing on. Firstly, we all know there's a lot of customers out there on legacy products, whether that's something like WLR, whether that's CPS. People are still on those products. We've got to migrate those onto new solutions now. We need to make life easy for our channel partners to be able to do that, because those products won't exist going forward, right?
Some of the partner feedback that we've had, a lot of it actually, is that you've got some partners that have got less legacy, obviously, and they're not as focused on migration and that sort of burden. But there's a lot out there that still do have that legacy base, and it's making a lot of money at the moment, and that's going to change through the transition. And I think that one of the challenges that partners are talking to us about is how do they focus on new business growth and manage some of those sorts of challenges, those kind of event challenges in the market. And what we've been doing at Gamma, I think it's actually focusing on a couple of different things. Is one, our Edge program, which is actually all geared around trying to incentivize partner growth by giving rebates, if you like. So the more you grow, the more we give back. We're starting to try and look at how we bundle our products together better, so we can give more in that regard as well. But part of that is also about that migration. So how do we take the effort from a partner and take that burden off them and say, look, you can still focus on business growth. Let us help you, make that transition happen, because it's 26, 27. That's when the real kind of momentum is going to happen, and lots of the activity will happen, and we want to make sure that we're there to help partners with that.
But I think once you've stabilised that base, once you've got what you've got, and people are on the right solution set, the opportunity to upsell or add new customers into your base, I think going forward is going to be huge. Yeah. And I think that's another area. We're all familiar with working in a world where you've got price pressure. Partners see it from the end user, we see it from partners. It's a conversation that unfortunately we all have to have from time to time. So therefore what we need to do is be selling additional things and new things. And I think in terms of going back to this trust and honesty piece, I think if you go back to Gamma maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we weren't always great at delivering what we said we were going to deliver when we said we were going to deliver it. And I think we're over that now. I think we're in a very, very different place, both in terms of the things that we're building internally and also going back to those relationships that we have. I mean, throughout this year, we'll start introducing some of the CX modules on Webex into the channel. But the conversation that I have with the guy that runs it at Cisco is, you tell me the date you're going to deliver that to me. You know, we get absolute certainty. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, the conversation with them is, I don't really care what you've told the world. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me when you're going to deliver to me, because I need to look my partners in the eye and tell me when we're going to deliver to you. So I think we can now give you much more certainty around what we're delivering, when we're delivering it, how you can, and whether that's some of the CX stuff, whether that's AI concierge, whether it's some of the other things that's now going on Gamma Plus on the portal. I think for partners looking to how can I increase my share of wallet from that end user, I think we have, again, it goes back to we have a good portfolio. I think we can give you a lot more certainty than we did 2 or 3 years ago as to where we're going to deliver.
Andrew.
It. Yeah?
I totally agree. And I think you mentioned momentum and delivery right from the outset. And I would absolutely agree is that now I certainly have a lot more confidence, and I know our team has a lot more confidence to go out and talk to partners about actually what's coming and when. And I think for us, that sort of changes the conversation as well with partners, because we can actually talk about a plan. Mm-hmm. We can work on a plan that says, right, this is what we've got coming. This is when it's going to, how are we actually going to generate the growth and meet the business priorities that you're aiming for over the next 12 months or so and beyond, because we have that certainty. So it really does change the conversation away from when is that product coming or when is that feature coming, which is where it used to be.
And I think, for me, I've been in Gamma 2 years now. It's hard to believe. Used to be 11 stone and a full head of hair, but that's gone by the wayside. But one of the massive and brilliant assets of Gamma is Gamma Labs. We've got 650 engineers working to develop and integrate great and support great solutions for Gamma. And I think what we've managed to do now is get those engineers focused on building the right things and accelerating our roadmaps. And that lets me be predictable in what we're delivering to give you guys what you need from a sales perspective. Yeah.
Picking that up then, I talked about the pressure that was on Andrew to make sure we had got some sense out of that chaos. The pressure clearly on you to deliver all of these products and to get that capability into the market. If we look back at 25 maybe first, it was a big year, lots going on. What were the highlights for you?
Really, really important year, Will, because in 2025, we more than trebled the number of engineers working on our capability and on our roadmaps. And we also launched our new IT stack. Now, launching a new IT stack's interesting if you're a geek like me, but what does that mean? Well, the big thing that we've done there is we've introduced single sign-on, first of all. And so today, when people log into the portal, like your service teams or our brilliant channel partners, I'm actually logging them into 2 portals, our existing Gamma portal and our new one.
You're right, that is really geeky.
I know it is, John. But what it means though is we've kept the experience seamless. So this year we've launched our new portal, and through that we've launched new tiers on PhoneLine Plus, we've launched Webex, we've launched a new framework called Gamma Plus that lets me add value-added services in as little as 48 hours. But because we've kept the experience consistent, it's really easy for someone who's used to ordering in the existing Gamma portal to move across and order the new products on our new portal. So a big year developing both the existing products, we should talk about that more because I love those as well, and then launching some great new products through our new IT stack.
And I think that whole message around less friction is so important for partners because, so many of the conversations we're all having is about we need to do more with less, so there's that need. And I think we're setting partners up to be able to do that with those changes to the portal. It just makes their life easier.
It does, and when we design things, so if I think about PhoneLine Plus, the technology doesn't matter. What matters to me is, have we built a solution that solves a problem for a customer? And if we take PhoneLine Plus, we specifically redesigned the app, designed for small businesses who are probably going to lose their landline, either because they're moving to fiber or because they're losing their landline because it's being turned off. PhoneLine Plus gives them an option that lets them retain their number, but then we give them things like the option to have an eSIM, so you never miss a contact from your customer, or some office capability that lets you have an IVR for the first time, or voice transcription for your voicemails. So what I like to think about, Will, is not just the tech, but how does the tech make a difference?
I'd agree, and just a build on that as well, because I think PhoneLine Plus is a really good example. So from a customer perspective, we're kind of starting to meet some of the use cases that you're talking about, but actually it's more than that. It's built for partner scale as well, because if you think about it, it's now got a full set of APIs, and that wasn't always the case as well on PhoneLine Plus. It now has, and it's super easy now to consume it through the portal and those tiers. So actually, it's sometimes tricky to do, but I think we get it right with the how we take these products to market, how we develop these products and build them. We are thinking about scale for partners, we're thinking about efficiency, and we're also thinking about end customer use cases as well. And I think that's really playing through strongly.
And that goes back to what we were sort of saying earlier on, doesn't it? Anybody can come up with a product set. You know, we can all say and go, these are the products we want. But I mean, as Colin said, he turned up 2 years ago, and we said, look, this is what we need. Yes, we'll get the products on the portal, but you need to build the portal. You need to make them consumable. We need to do the APIs. And Colin said, look, okay, I can do all of those things, and he has done all of those things, but it's going to cost you. You're going to have to get your checkbook out, Belshaw. You know, I can't do it for free. And even though, you know, 25 has been a bit sticky, 26 maybe, we've continued to invest. We will continue to invest. We will continue to give Colin the money that he needs to build out the portal, to make everything really easy for our partners to consume. We will continue to invest in service and, you know, maybe some of the new tools that are coming. We'll talk about AI and how we're going to use that to serve customers better. But the reality is we will continue to invest, and that comes back down to picking the right partner, because I'm not sure everybody's got that luxury of being, you know, this is a scale game now, of being a size of business where you can invest at a time when, frankly, we need to.
Yeah, and that level of investment allows me to bring in genuinely world-class technology partners. We talked about Cisco from a product perspective, but the partners that we're working with in maturing our IT are global players. You know, we're working with CSG, with Snowflake, with ServiceNow, high standard, scalable platforms that will make a difference for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Snowflake as well. So I mentioned our partner experience program. One of the things that we're doing, I think is really smart internally, is actually starting to consume AI in a different way internally. So we're sucking all the data from partners on what they think about the market, what they think the challenges are that they see, how they feel about Gamma, how they feel about our portfolio. We're taking that into one data lake or warehouse. I don't know what you call it these days. What the right terminology is?
Data valley.
But actually, the clever bit is layering that over with AI and then starting to use that data in a really much more insight-led way, rather than creating static reports, which just I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but I find that they just lead to more and more questions. You don't often get real insight. So I think we're doing some really smart things there as well.
We touched earlier on Webex and the brand recognition and the product. We can't let this opportunity pass without just focusing for a second on the absolute success we've had in the, really runaway success we've had with that product. The buzz in the business, the buzz in the channel around Webex, and I'm talking both Webex on Horizon, but also Webex for Gamma as a platform. What were we, 3 times our budget that we set ourselves in terms of subscribers at the end of the year? Huge numbers of channel partners constantly training and updating their skills. And that's been delivered in 25, a huge amount of focus with the portal experience, everything. And I think that's been just an outstanding highlight in the year for me and the team.
What we've worked very hard to do is to take the brilliant solution from Cisco, but put a wrap around that for the channel partners. So 3-year terms, 5-year terms, hardware bundled in, and then we've put automation in place so that when you place the order, it flows down into the Cisco platform, so that we make it simpler and easier for people to get access to great packages, but also to get that live as quickly as we can and get the revenue coming in the door.
And now with Gamma Plus, we've got integration coming online, haven't we? The relationship.
We do. I mean, if I talk a little bit about, let's talk a little bit about the 2026 roadmap. So what's coming on Webex then? So Gamma Plus is our new framework to add value-added services quickly. And we've got a number of those coming that are specific to Webex. We've got a Kixie and Red Cactus coming before the end of March. And throughout the year, we'll be adding more and more packages through Gamma Plus relevant to Webex and our other products. One of the things that I loved seeing at Cisco Live was the Cisco CX and the contact center capability. And what Cisco are doing for us, thanks to Andrew and the relationships that we've built, is we're getting a set of contact center SKUs that we're going to be able to release in the second half of the year into the channel. And those look tremendous, John, in terms of the capability that they offer.
I think so, and well, they do, and I think our job will be to try and make that as simple to consume as possible for the channel, because I think, I think that the channel broadly would see CX as a good opportunity market, a good growth market, but there are perceived challenges to entry, but because you're looking at it and it's like the high-end CX is complex to deploy. You need specialist skills in the business. So one of the things that we'll be working on really really hard on is how do we take that CX capability and make that super easy to consume for the channel, and actually allow them to really sort of grow into that market over the course of the year.
We've talked lots about Webex and different technology, but there's so much coming in 26. Do you want to take some time maybe to talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we haven't even talked about IPEX, which is another brilliant product that we have on our UCaaS portfolio. But when I think about 2026, well, we're going to start the year with a bang. So I think last year we made great progress improving our UCaaS portfolio. This year, I want to make sure that we uplift our connectivity portfolio. And so we're starting with the launch of Fibre Exchange, where we're going to give everybody access to many more fibre providers in the UK. Then through the year, I'll be adding new end user equipment, great new routers, 4G and 5G backed up, and then value-added services on top of our connectivity portfolio around security and backup and all of the things like that. So we're really going to mature our connectivity portfolio this year, and we're going to have some exciting things coming on mobile. I can't say too much about mobile because John and I are still working on the deal, but some exciting things coming on mobile. And we'll be continuing to look after all of our other products, SIP and Inbound. Something that we're going to adopt in the second half of this year is hackathons, and really starting to get people involved more deeply with Gamma Labs. So that's a bit of a watch this space, some Gamma Labs hackathons that we'd love people to take part of later in the year.
And I think that builds on the great work that's already been there on the partner advisory boards, where every single product we're bringing to market, we're working with a product advisory board, we're having that back and forth, we're co-creating the technology that we're delivering with our partner community. And I think exactly as you said, Andrew, with Webex, that's a huge strength as to why
it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
So we've spent a good chunk of time talking about Gamma's view of the world, but I think it's important we get an external view of what's going on out there in the market. So I'm very pleased to invite Matt Townend to join us from Cavell and give his view. So please join us on the sofa.
Thanks a lot, Will.
That's okay. I'm sure, joining this star-studded celebrity cast, what more could you ask for?
I'm just expecting the wine, but you haven't gone that far.
Well, we left John to organise that.
Water.
And, hidden in the water.
So it'd just be, as I said, really good to get your view of what's going on out there. We've clearly got some views of the market, and we've been sharing what we think today. But I mean, maybe starting out, if you put yourself in the shoes of a partner, what would you be thinking about? What would you be working into your planning cycle and focusing on?
I spend too much time with investors, and investors always ask very simple questions, which is how you create value now and how you're going to create value in the future. And to John's making a point about differentiation earlier, and I think that's a really good starting point right now. Because I do think we've been through a chaotic time. I do think there's loads of opportunity, but I do think it's time to take a look at yourself and think, where did I create that? Is it going to be the same in the future? And to quite inform that, when I look, we do a lot of research of the enterprises, in the UK. What are they thinking? What are they looking for when they're looking for a partner? And they're looking at some of the usual things we've been talking about. They've been looking at the product, they're looking at the price, but they're also, when they're thinking about a new partner now, they're thinking about what expertise have they got? How are they going to help me integrate my world? And we heard a bit about that earlier. So I think some of those things, it's not just about, banging out product sales. Where do I go as a business, as a channel? Where do I create the expertise? Look into my business, look into your own businesses. You've got pockets of expertise you don't probably even recognise. We heard a little bit about verticalization earlier. We're hearing that a lot in the channel, because as customers are looking for expertise in their partners, their knowledge of a specific sector, other customers have got the same experience. So I think it's a kind of really interesting time for people to really take a look at, how do we get to where we got to? Let's not forget that, because some of that's really relevant. But now, what do I need to build? Thinking about what those customers want and looking for in a partner.
And I think, as well as advising investors and talking to us, you're also talking to some of our biggest channel partners as well, and spending lots of time with them. If you can, what are the kind of conversations you're having there? Where are you adding value into their business? And
we're adding a lot of value. Where there's change, we were joking earlier, where there's change, people like us obviously are there to help. Yeah. So I think where people are dealing with the issue we talked about earlier, that we have got this POTS replacement issue for some businesses where, there is a piece of revenue that is going to move and transition, and it's probably going to come smaller. So we're talking a lot to businesses about how they handle that, and where are they taking those customers to new services, and really thinking positively about how we really address that challenge now. We're also obviously dealing with the issues of where are the new opportunities in terms of product. And there's a couple that I don't think we've mentioned fully, but I know Gamma are working heavily on. When we look at what products and services that end customers are looking at, and when they're thinking about the decisions, they're really focused on security and compliance. And we're independent, so one day Microsoft love me, one day Cisco love me, one day people love me at different times. But I think the security side, on you were saying below the iceberg, is really important. I think Cisco plays well into that. So if you look at when we ask customers what are the key product areas they're thinking about, they are thinking about security and compliance in everything.
Is that my view on the world is a lot of that is actually driven by AI. So the very fact that AI is starting to get some traction, let's say, in the market, actually creates more of a security risk. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I think it's an element of that. I think we've also seen some pretty big breaches of security and pretty big challenges, and stories where they're not all related to comm security, clearly, but when companies can't produce cars for many months because they've been. So I think it's in the front. I think AI is kind of turning the ratchet on that, but it's a concern, and we see it. We survey enterprises of all sizes, and we see it as a concern right across the board. So it's kind of interesting, and that's really ramped up. But I also see that as an opportunity. So I think we'll be talking in the next 2 years about where the product opportunity is within that as well. It's not just about making our services really secure and compliant, because I absolutely buy that. But it's also about where is the value opportunity there as well to create value. We're looking at how those channels do that.
But you've also got a legislative thing, haven't you, as well? In that because the cyber risk is real, the legislation is becoming more onerous. And again, this comes down to the bottom part of the iceberg, right? So I can sell you a cloud platform that works, whether it actually complies with the legislation or not. That's going to be an evolving thing, right? Because that legislation is only going one way.
You're dealing internationally.
For sure.
It's just ties it times it by 10.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's that secure by design, compliant by design kind of thinking that this isn't an add-on. This isn't because you're a really big organization, you need this overlayer of security. Everything, if you look at our Cisco platform and the capability they've got across cybersecurity, data centers, networking, et cetera, right the way through AI and all the acquisitions they've done, their product is so
and going back to Matt's
secure.
point about investors, if you are a partner that's looking to exit, whether you're going to exit next year or in 2-3 years' time, if your partners and the platforms you're selling aren't compliant, that's going to come out in DD, right? Yeah. So get it right now, and we'll help you get it right now.
Yeah.
So that when you're ready to sell your business, it's done, and you just tick that one off the list.
The other things we're helping with. So they're looking at products. They're looking at where can they grow, and they're thinking about security. They're thinking about the CX piece that I've been probably talking about for like 4 years. Not just about large contact center. Large contact center is a very defined market, but below that, understanding your customer, really understanding the context of the customer and helping them with CX it's going to change. There's going to be new services emerge there. There already are services that you guys, have offered over the years, a value-added service. I see that as a massive growth opportunity. And you only need to kind of do the simple maths. When I think I'm a small business owner effectively, and I think what I pay on my CRM, what I'm willing to pay around some of my stuff that affects my customer, I'm willing to pay significant amounts of money around some of that. So I think there's a huge opportunity there as well that is gonna emerge. Partners are going to have to deliver a more broader set of services and capabilities. So that's where they may focus. They may build expertise in certain verticals. They may not. But I would encourage them to go on the journey with their customers. So I think they've got to really think about where they're going to focus, how they're going to build their expertise, but also, helping with the thought leadership, helping your customer go on the journey. We don't know I'm a bit worried about using AI for all your insights now. We still want you as a customer, but
too late for that.
Too late, of course. But I think you've got to recognise that even we don't know fully where everything is going to end up. But we've got to go honestly with our customers on that journey and demonstrate to them you can bring in the expertise. AI is a topic we can't get away from. It's the other area where we're focusing heavily on. And where we're starting to see it is in the AI agent space. People are starting to use agents as Trojan horses. So I think some of the partners will find some of their customers are under attack by people just offering a single AI agent solution to try and get in. And I think that's where you can defend that quite heavily with the security concepts that you were talking about, etc.
And I completely agree with you on AI. AI is a topic that all CTOs vex over slightly because there's so much hype around it. But one thing that is certainly true is that AI is now at a level of maturity where you can create brilliant single-purpose AI solutions. We launched our AI concierge prior to Christmas, and we'll have a suite of AI solutions emerging through the year.
Maybe we could just I'm going to put you in a slightly unfair position, but we've spoken about lots of different things today. And if I broadly try and summarize, Andrew, you spoke early on very much about, trust. We talked about, the level of value beneath the iceberg and that kind of trusted partner in Gamma. Colin, you spoke about our product proposition, all of the products we've got out there, the huge amounts of R&D. And John, I think you broadly talked a lot about the engagement we have with partners, that relationship and foundation and understanding of where the partners try to get to and delivering that sort of frictionless environment. If we think of those three sort of pillars, are we broadly heading in the right direction? Can you give us a tick against the Gamma strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I give Gamma a good tick. I think where the challenges as well is what Gamma have built is, and all the channel partners here, is an amazing route to market. So you'll see lots of technology companies come and go, but they haven't got that base, not only the technology base, but the route to market. So actually, when I go and look at technology companies, it's one of the, I don't really look at it from a product point of view a lot of the time. The products, we can argue whether they're better or not. It's quite often around the power of the route to market, the power of that you've created. And I think that's, I've always been impressed by Gamma's kind of not only the product side, but the route to market, the training, the go-to-market piece.
Well, I think broadly standing shoulder to shoulder with our partner is exactly where we like to be. A huge thanks for all of those insights and most of all for giving us that tick on the strategy. It's been a really good session. Thank you to everybody. I think the most important thing to end on probably is what I feel about Gamma is it's all about relationships. It's all about the conversations we have with our partners, and ideally those conversations are had in all sorts of locations, either around the world or at sporting events. What have we got happening this year? We had golf, we had poker, we had all sorts of good stuff last year. We had the ski trip. What are we going to be doing for partners this year, and how are we going to be celebrating the phenomenal success that we're going to be having in 26?
First of all, we're going to be doing the Gamble Rally, and I've just heard actually from
I'm
Matt,
just committed to, so if you want to meet I've just committed to putting a car in. So
we've got one car down already,
one
so
car.
we need to get the rest being booked.
It's not a rally yet. At the moment, it's just a trip,
Yeah.
but it will become a rally. No, I think partners can expect more of the same in terms of some of the events that we've held last year. We're doing that this year, but we want to do something a bit special. So we won't be doing the actual event this year. We'll be planning it for next year, but it'll be based on incentives for this year. And all I'll say for now is more to come on it, but it'll be a very, very special, unique experience that we're going to be sending out there for partners.
Thank you, John. That sounds fantastic. So along with the trip of a lifetime, we've got all of the money that Gamma focuses on to generate for charity as well. I think we generated £10,000 for Child Autism UK through the golf and the poker. We've now got our committed first car on Gamma Ball Rally, and that's going to be generating huge amounts for charity as well, which is fantastic. So it really just leaves me to say a little bit of housekeeping. If you've got any questions, please submit afterwards. There's a Q&A available to you that will be sent as the follow-up. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time.